Over 1,000 workers impacted, multiple warehouses shutting down, millions of packages suddenly rerouted. What would happen if one of the biggest companies in the world quietly pulled the plug on major operations across Canada? That's exactly the shockwave rippling through communities right now. For years, Amazon warehouses have been symbols of speed, growth, and nonstop activity. Lights on 24/7, trucks moving in and out like clockwork. But now, those same massive buildings are going dark. And the question on everyone's mind is, why? Behind the headlines lies a much bigger story than most people realize. This isn't just about a few buildings closing. It's about jobs, local businesses, delivery times, and even the direction of Canada's economy. When a company this powerful makes a move, it's rarely random, and it's never small. So what's really going on? Is this temporary or the beginning of something bigger? Stay with me, because the real reasons might surprise you. Number 1, rising operational costs are squeezing profits. Let's start with something simple but powerful. Money. Operating massive warehouses across Canada isn't cheap. In fact, it's becoming dramatically more expensive every year. From rising electricity bills and fuel prices to higher rent on industrial real estate, the cost of keeping those giant fulfillment centers running 24/7 has risen. Add increasing wages, benefits, and transportation expenses into the mix, and the numbers climb even faster. When inflation pushes up nearly every operational expense at the same time, even a global giant like Amazon feels the pressure. Think about what it takes to run just one warehouse. Thousands of square feet of space, advanced conveyor systems, climate control, security, hundreds, sometimes thousands of employees per location. Now multiply that across multiple provinces. According to industry analysts, logistics and distribution costs have risen sharply since the pandemic, cutting into margins that were once comfortably high. During the online shopping boom, these costs were easier to absorb because demand was exploding. But today, with consumer spending stabilizing, the math looks very different. Companies constantly review performance metrics. If a warehouse isn't delivering strong returns compared to its operating costs, it becomes a target for consolidation. Closing certain locations and shifting volume to fewer, more efficient centers can dramatically reduce overhead. It's not personal, it's strategic cost control. But here's the bigger question. If rising costs are forcing corporations to shrink, what does that mean for everyday Canadians already feeling the pinch of higher prices? If this breakdown opened your eyes even a little, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your voice truly matters here. We put serious time and research into every video, so if you value content like this, tap subscribe. It's just one click, but it helps us keep bringing you the truth. Number 2, automation is replacing human labor faster than expected. Now, let's talk about something that feels almost futuristic, but it's happening right now. Automation. Over the past few years, Amazon has invested billions into robotics, artificial intelligence, and advanced warehouse technology. Walk into one of their modern fulfillment centers, and you won't just see workers scanning packages. You'll see fleets of robots gliding across the floor, lifting shelves, sorting products, and moving inventory with incredible precision. What once required hundreds of workers can now be done by machines working around the clock without breaks. From a business perspective, automation makes sense. Robots don't call in sick. They don't require overtime pay. They can operate 24/7 with consistent efficiency. Industry reports show that automated warehouses can reduce operating costs significantly over time, especially in high-volume distribution centers. As technology improves, companies are finding they can centralize operations into fewer, highly automated mega facilities instead of maintaining multiple labor-heavy locations. But here's the reality. When automation increases, the need for traditional warehouse roles decreases. That doesn't always mean total job loss. Sometimes it means restructuring, fewer pickers, more tech specialists, more maintenance engineers, different skill sets entirely. And if a warehouse is older and less equipped for automation upgrades, it may simply be more cost-effective to shut it down and shift operations elsewhere. This shift isn't just about Amazon. It reflects a broader transformation happening across industries worldwide. The question is no longer if automation will reshape jobs. It's how quickly communities can adapt to the change. We dive deep into stories like this because they matter, and we'd love to hear your perspective. Do you think automation is progress or a problem? Drop your thoughts below. And if you appreciate the effort behind this research, hit subscribe. It's one click that helps us keep delivering powerful insights like this. Number 3, the post-pandemic e-commerce boom is slowing down. Just a few years ago, online shopping wasn't just growing, it was exploding during the pandemic. Canadians turned to e-commerce for almost everything. Groceries, electronics, home office equipment, even everyday essentials were ordered with a single click. Demand surged so fast that companies rushed to expand. New warehouses were built. Existing ones were enlarged. Hiring skyrocketed. It felt like the growth would never slow down. But here's what many people didn't expect. That level of demand wasn't permanent. As restrictions eased and life returned to normal, shopping habits began to shift again. People went back to physical stores. Travel resumed. Spending patterns changed. According to retail industry data, e-commerce growth has stabilized compared to the massive spikes seen during lockdown years. It's still strong, but is no longer accelerating at emergency levels. And when growth slows, companies are left with infrastructure built for a much higher volume than they now need. Imagine building 10 lanes on a highway for rush hour traffic and then watching half the cars disappear. Maintaining all 10 lanes suddenly becomes inefficient. That's similar to what's happening with warehouse space. Some facilities that made sense during peak demand are now underutilized. And when a warehouse isn't operating near capacity, it becomes a financial liability. For Amazon, closing certain locations may simply be a correction, scaling back after expanding too quickly during extraordinary times. It's a strategic recalibration in response to a more balanced market. We break these stories down because they affect real people and real communities. What changes have you noticed in shopping or delivery trends lately? Share your experience below, and if you value the effort behind this content, subscribe. It's just one click, but it fuels everything we do. Number 4, a strategic shift toward fewer, larger mega-fulfillment centers. Another major factor behind these closures could be a strategic redesign of Amazon's entire logistics network. Instead of operating many mid-sized warehouses spread across different regions, the company may be shifting toward fewer, ultra-large mega-fulfillment centers. These massive hubs are designed to handle enormous order volumes using advanced automation, centralized inventory systems, and optimized transportation networks. Think of it like consolidating small neighborhood stores into one giant supercenter. While it reduces the number of locations, it can dramatically increase efficiency. Larger facilities allow inventory to be pooled together, which reduces duplication of stock. Instead of keeping the same product stored in 5 different warehouses, it can be stored in one central hub and shipped more strategically. This improves forecasting, reduces waste, and streamlines distribution. Transportation logistics also play a big role. With improved route planning software and regional sorting centers, companies can ship products across longer distances without significantly affecting delivery times. In some cases, a centralized network actually lowers costs and improves consistency. Data-driven supply chain models now allow corporations to simulate demand patterns and reposition inventory in real time. However, this shift has real consequences for communities that lose local facilities. Jobs move, truck routes change. Local economies feel the impact. While the strategy may make financial sense at a corporate level, the ripple effects can be significant at the regional level. This isn't just downsizing, it's restructuring. And when a company as large as Amazon restructures, it can quietly reshape the economic landscape. We spend hours researching and breaking down stories like this so you get the full picture. If this analysis made you think differently, tell us how in the comments. We genuinely read them. And if you support deep, effort-driven content, hit subscribe. It's one click that helps this channel grow. Number 5, growing labor pressure and unionization efforts. Another powerful force behind these closures could be rising labor pressure. Over the past few years, warehouse workers across North America have become more vocal about working conditions, wages, and job security. In Canada, as in other countries, employees have increasingly explored unionization efforts, demanding higher pay, improved safety standards, and stronger benefits. When large groups of workers begin organizing, it can significantly change the cost structure and operational flexibility of company. From a corporate standpoint, labor negotiations introduce uncertainty. Higher wages, expanded benefits, and stricter workplace regulations can raise long-term operating expenses. While better compensation supports workers and local economies, companies must evaluate how those changes affect profit margins, especially in an environment where costs are already rising due to inflation and automation investments. It's important to look at this from both sides. Workers argue that as productivity increases and companies generate billions in revenue, employees deserve a fair share of that success. On the other hand, corporations often respond by restructuring operations to maintain efficiency and competitiveness. In some cases, that may include consolidating facilities, relocating operations, or investing even more heavily in automation to reduce reliance on human labor. When labor dynamics shift, corporate strategies often shift with it. Closing certain warehouses may not be about one single issue, but about reducing exposure to regions where labor costs are rising faster than expected. This situation highlights a bigger question. How do companies balance profitability with fair treatment of workers in a rapidly evolving economy? We dig into these complex issues because they affect real lives. What's your take? Should companies adapt to worker demands or prioritize efficiency? Share your thoughts below. And if you appreciate the research and effort behind these videos, subscribe. It's just one click that keeps this channel going strong. Number 6. Commercial real estate is becoming a burden. There's another piece of this puzzle that many people overlook. Commercial real estate. Warehouses are not just buildings. They are long-term financial commitments. Leasing or owning massive industrial spaces across multiple provinces requires huge capital. And over the past few years, commercial property costs in many parts of Canada have surged. Industrial real estate became extremely valuable during the e-commerce boom, driving up lease rates and property taxes. During high-demand periods, those expensive leases made companies were racing to secure space wherever they could find it. But now, with online growth stabilizing, some of those properties may no longer be worth the cost. If a warehouse is locked into a high lease agreement but operating below capacity, it quickly turns from an asset into a financial drain. Corporations constantly analyze performance data. If one facility is significantly more expensive to operate than another, due to location, taxes, maintenance, or lease terms, it becomes a prime candidate for closure. In some cases, companies may even choose to exit leases early, absorb short-term penalties, and save more money in the long run. There's also the broader shift in commercial property markets to consider. As demand cools, some businesses are reevaluating how much space they truly need. Instead of expanding endlessly, they are trimming excess and focusing on leaner operations. For communities, this can feel sudden and shocking, but from a corporate strategy standpoint, it's often a calculated financial decision based on long-term cost projections. If this gave you a clearer view of what's happening behind the scenes, tell us what surprised you most in the comments. We invest serious time into breaking these stories down, so if you value that effort, hit subscribe. One simple click helps us keep delivering content that matters. Number 7. Supply chain optimization and network rebalancing. Behind every package that arrives at your door is a highly complex supply chain, a network of warehouses, sorting centers, trucks, airplanes, and algorithms working together in perfect coordination. But here's what many people don't realize: that network is constantly being adjusted. Companies like Amazon don't just build warehouses and leave them untouched. They continuously analyze data to decide where products should be stored, how far they should travel, and which facilities are truly necessary. This process is called supply chain optimization. Using advanced software and predictive analytics, companies study buying patterns, seasonal trends, regional demand, and transportation efficiency. If data shows that certain regions can be served more effectively than different ones, the company may choose to close one facility and redistribute operations elsewhere. It's not always about losses. Sometimes it's about making the entire network smarter and faster. Imagine a giant chessboard. Every warehouse is a piece. When demand shifts, pieces move. If one piece becomes redundant or less efficient, it may be removed entirely. The goal is to reduce delivery times while cutting unnecessary costs. In today's economy, flexibility is power. By rebalancing its logistics network, Amazon may be positioning itself to respond faster to market changes. However, The strategic move can leave communities blindsided when local facilities are deemed no longer essential. The big picture? These closures might not signal collapse, they may signal recalibration. We work hard to simplify complex economic moves like this so you can truly understand what's happening. Now we want to hear from you. Do you see this as smart strategy or warning sign? Drop your thoughts below. And if you appreciate the effort behind this content, subscribe. It's one click that makes a real difference for this channel. Number 8. Increasing government regulations and policy pressures. Another major factor that could be influencing these warehouse closures is government regulation. Large corporations operating nationwide must comply with federal, provincial, and municipal rules, and those rules are constantly evolving. From environmental standards and carbon emission targets to workplace safety requirements and taxation policies, regulatory changes can significantly impact operating costs. Canada has been strengthening environmental policies, especially around emissions and energy consumption. Warehouses consume enormous amounts of electricity for lighting, heating, cooling, and running advanced machinery. Add in transportation fleets, trucks moving day and night, and the carbon footprint becomes substantial. If new environmental regulations require expensive upgrades, retrofitting older facilities may simply not make financial sense. In some cases, closing and consolidating operations into newer, more energy-efficient centers becomes the more strategic choice. There's also the tax landscape to consider. Changes in corporate tax structures, import duties, or regional business incentives can shift where companies decide to operate. If certain provinces offer better economic conditions or incentives, businesses may redirect investments there instead. Workplace compliance is another layer. Stricter safety inspections, labor standards, and reporting requirements can increase administrative and operational costs. While these regulations are designed to protect workers and communities, they can also influence corporate decisions about where to maintain physical infrastructure. When regulations tighten, companies don't just absorb the cost quietly, they adjust. And sometimes, those adjustments include closing facilities that no longer align with long-term strategic goals. So the question becomes, are these closures a reaction to policy shifts as much as market forces? We put real time and research into connecting these dots for you. What's your view? Should stricter regulations push companies to adapt or relocate? Share your thoughts below. And if you respect the effort behind this breakdown, hit subscribe. One click helps us keep delivering powerful insights like this. Number 9. Investor pressure and the drive to protect profits. Here's something many people don't immediately see. Behind every major corporate decision are investors watching closely. Amazon is a publicly traded company, which means it answers not just to customers, but to shareholders. And shareholders expect growth, efficiency, and strong profit margins quarter after quarter. When performance slows or costs rise, pressure builds quickly. In recent years, global markets have become more volatile. Investors are paying closer attention to profitability rather than just expansion. During the pandemic, rapid growth was rewarded. Expanding warehouse space, hiring aggressively, and increasing infrastructure made sense because revenue was soaring. But now, in a more cautious economic environment, the focus has shifted. Investors want leaner operations, tighter spending, and clear signs that a company is protecting its bottom line. The financials will show underperforming assets, like warehouses operating below capacity or costing more than they generate. Leadership faces tough choices. Closing facilities can immediately reduce expenses and send a signal to markets that the company is serious about efficiency. In many cases, even the announcement of cost-cutting measures can positively influence stock performance. This doesn't mean the company is failing. In fact, it often means the opposite. It's adapting to maintain strength. But these financial adjustments can have very real human consequences, especially for employees and communities tied to those locations. When investor demand results, companies respond. And sometimes, those responses are swift and dramatic. We break down these financial realities so you can see the bigger picture. Do you think investor pressure is justified, or does it go too far? Let us know in the comments. And if you appreciate the time and effort behind this research, subscribe. It's one click that truly supports this channel. Number 10. A larger global restructuring strategy. Finally, we need to zoom out and look at the global picture. Amazon doesn't operate in just one country. It runs a massive, interconnected network across continents. What happens in Canada is often part of a much larger strategy unfolding worldwide. In recent years, the company has been reevaluating operations in multiple regions, closing, consolidating, or restructuring facilities to align with shifting global demand. Economic uncertainty, currency fluctuations, geopolitical tensions, and changing consumer behavior are affecting markets everywhere, not just in Canada. When global leadership reviews performance, they don't look at warehouses individually. They look at the entire system. If certain regions are overbuilt compared to demand, restructuring becomes part of a broader recalibration plan. Think of it like adjusting the sails on a massive ship, navigating unpredictable waters. Small course corrections may not seem dramatic at first, but collectively they can significantly change direction. Closing warehouses in Canada may be one piece of a global efficiency push designed to streamline operations, reduce redundancy, and focus on high-performance hubs. It's important to understand that global corporations think long-term. Decisions are often made years in advance, based on predictive modeling and worldwide data trends. What feels sudden to local communities may have been part of a strategic roadmap for some time. So instead of seeing this as an isolated event, it may be more accurate to view it as part of a broader global transformation happening across industries. We've laid out all 10 reasons. Now we want to hear from you. Which reason do you think is the biggest driver behind these closures? Drop your thoughts below. We put serious effort into every video, so if you value deep analysis like this, subscribe. It's just one click, but it helps us keep going strong. When you step back and look at the full picture, one thing becomes clear: this isn't just about warehouses. It's about transformation. The possible closure of Amazon facilities across Canada represents something much bigger than empty buildings or rerouted delivery trucks. It reflects shifting economic forces, changing consumer behavior, advancing technology, and a constant pressure on corporations to adapt or fall behind. For workers, this moment brings uncertainty. For local communities, it raises serious concerns about job stability and economic ripple effects. Small businesses that relied on nearby fulfillment centers may feel the impact. Transportation networks could shift. Even delivery times and pricing structures may change over time. These decisions don't happen in isolation. They send waves through entire regional economies. But here's the other side of the story. Economic restructuring doesn't always signal decline. Sometimes it signals evolution. Automation, supply chain optimization, and global recalibration are reshaping industries everywhere. The real question isn't whether change is happening. It's how quickly communities, workers, and policymakers can adapt to it. Canada has faced economic shift before, and each time, new opportunities eventually emerge from disruption. The challenge now is preparing for what comes next, investing in new skills, supporting effective workers, and ensuring that growth in emerging sectors balances losses in others. So as the headlines spark concern, remember this: behind every major corporate move lies a complex web of strategy, economics, and long-term planning. And understanding those forces gives you power, the power to anticipate, adapt, and make informed decisions in a rapidly changing world.